Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology, Record-ology Live. Now, if you're watching the replay, welcome in as well. We'll try to make it I try to make it interesting in the context of a live video and a replay. Obviously, make sure you subscribe, bell notification, all that good stuff. I want to say at the outset, I apologize because I have some allergies today that will not go away. So I've got a wad of tissues, and I'm going to try not to sniffle and sneeze too much. If I do, I have a mute button. I can shut the camera. If I'm doing one of those like slow motion, as my son says, yelling, sneeze, cough things, I will try not to do that. Mostly I just want to hear from you guys. Like it says in the title, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you are up to, what you are interested in, what's going on, all that fun stuff. Did a little bit of unexpected, unplanned record shopping today. We'll definitely show you what I picked up. Second Chance Junkyard, welcome in. I apologize for the sniffles. I'm fighting some allergies. If you're watching the replay, feel free to comment because I check all of the comments equally. YouTube serves up comments on 5-year-old videos just as much as they do on brand new videos. So feel free to jump in there. Second Chance, what are you up to? How are things going in your world? Anybody else is jumping in? Don't forget to hit the thumbs up real quick. Helps us out. And I'll show you what I picked up. Maybe we'll do another show and tell of my records where I just kind of grabbed some and talk about it. Again, I'm going to try not to sniffle too much as I fight these allergies. I also want to talk about the 45 adapters, kind of a little bit of an update there. I do have the link, by the way, to the new adapter. Where is it? Oh, yeah, right here. The reason why I mention it is I have what I call the Hall of Fame. These are one of every kind of adapter we have yet produced. Right there. These are all our 45 adapters, beginning with the OG orange signature, always available. Purple, I don't remember the exact order we did this. We did this metallic purple was sort of our first different kind of unique finish. We've done, in no particular order, by the way, the glow-in-the-dark one. Very cool. This is a brittle PLA, even though these are all PLA plastic, which is a type of plastic. And we'd have never used ABS or other types. We've all only used PLA, which is the primary type of plastic the 3D printers use. And but this one is more brittle. Even though it is a PLA, it is more brittle. This was a super limited edition one we did over Christmas, the Starry Night, a.k.a. Asphalt colored one. This was, I think this might have been the second one. I think we called this one Guava. It's sort of a purple and green. This was originally intended to be a Christmas themed. I think we did it either last year's, not this 2003, but 2002 Christmas. And it came out more like tropical guava colored, which is weird because you look at the filament and it's like split evenly 2 colors through the thread. But then when it prints out, it does more of this fade from one to the other instead of an abrupt color change. So we went with it and called it Guava. And then this same thing with this one. Weren't sure what we were going to call this one. It just, the filament looked really cool, and some of the test prints that we saw were very cool. So we went ahead and ordered the PLA. Now, the reason why it's not just like a marketing gimmick that it says very limited quantities, because this one really truly is because of the fact we only, I'm trying to get this thread off here. We only ordered a very limited amount of this PLA. Most PLA reels are like these 10-inch reels. This one's like this, so it's a lot less. But this one is the newest. We're calling it a rainbow red because it's a rainbow effect, but it's primarily red. So we just called it rainbow red. And that's the latest one. So right now, you can purchase rainbow red and the signature orange. That's what's available. Not sure how long. I mean, we'll keep it around for a while. It won't be as short of a run as this. This, we have plenty of the PLA, but I just want to do something special for Christmas. Just something fun about exclusivity. Not just with products, but with events and attractions and things you do, all that good stuff. Second Chance says, dealing with single-digit temperatures right now. I know it's so cold so many places. Even here in Florida, it got down to 30s, which I was texting my mom. I'm like, yeah, we got down to the 30s. And she's like, that's like a warm-up for us here in Colorado. Well, hang in there. We still have a lot of the PLA left, so it's a possibility that they would come back Yeah. How do you like warm Orlando today, buddy? Yeah, it's 59 degrees here. Last night was in the 30s. Last night we went to Magic Kingdom. What the heck? I don't want to message anybody. My watch decided to start going off. Last night I went to Magic Kingdom. I made a mistake of wearing a t-shirt and shorts, and it was cold. But I know nobody's going to feel bad for me because people across the country are dealing with real cold, and this is not a cold, but this is allergies. I am thinking positively. This is allergies. It's not a cold, but my nose will not stop running. So I apologize for the sniffles. Still thankful for beautiful Orlando today because it's gorgeous out there. It's so beautiful. Even on a cold day, it is still a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So went up to Orlando today to visit a museum, which we ended up not going to. But I wanted to check out a record shop while we were in the area. So the place I usually go to when I'm up there was closed today. So I stopped by a place called Rock and Roll Heaven. Now, I'm not a huge rock and roll guy. You can't quite see it, but my rock pop section, almost a half of a crate. So it's not huge by any means. But I thought I would give it a shot because it looked like it was a fully featured record shop. It was much bigger than the other one that I liked. So now it's my new favorite, and it's huge. It's got way more music than just rock and roll. They have all sorts of things. And I picked up 3 things. Ironically, I went to Rock and Roll Heaven to look for Disney soundtracks on CD. That's kind of what I was looking for. But I looked at a few different things. I made a very short video that I'm going to post to my shorts and TikTok. But I wanted to share with you what I purchased. Prices here weren't as incredible as other record shops, but they were fair. So I picked this up from the Patsy Klein collection. This is sort of a greatest. It says the Patsy Klein collection. That's the greatest hits. It's under the Sony label, which is really weird. Obviously, is this Madison? Oh, weird. This is Madison and Sony. And for those of you that collected CDs in the 90s, you'll know what I mean by saying that's weird because Madison was like Laser Light Digital, like a value label that sold like not bootleg copies, but nearly bootleg copy records. And Sony obviously is a major brand. So to see a Madison and Sony music collab, that is weird. Look at the logos down there. That is so strange. But what I was going to say is even the fact that it's Sony is weird because Patsy Klein's a Decca artist. So usually it's under MCA and all that stuff. I don't know what I paid for this. Honestly, I think I paid $5 or less, which is a pretty fair price. There are looks like the disc is in good. I don't check the condition of things before I buy it. It's a value release. Like the slip sheet is literally just plain on the back, a single sheet. There's no text or anything, not even a picture on the inside. And the songs, I could tell you this is like a value release. All selections courtesy of Masters International, who was licensing a lot of this music, I think on behalf of MCA Decca. But the music, this is weird. So now we got Columbia. Look at the disc. So we know it's Madison somehow, and it's Sony, licensed through Masters International. But the disc is made by Columbia, which I wouldn't even think Columbia was making records. It's like manufactured by Columbia Records. I wouldn't have even thought that Columbia Records made records. I thought they were all like third-party pressing plants, which is really strange. And what I've been trying to say is that the music on here is indicative of a value release, like a no-name budget label or bootleg. These are the very, very, very early songs. There's no crazy, none of her later hits are on there. So I picked that up. They had quite a few Patsy Klein CDs, and a lot that I didn't have, but I don't have any need to bulk up on them, so I just picked up one that I didn't have. So maybe next time I'll pick up another. Mr. Londell's Groovy Movies, John Sweeney, Becca's Record Shop. John, do you agree? Interesting. Yeah, so far I think it's my favorite. Ty, welcome in. I've been listening to this contemporary jazz band called Acoustic Alchemy. I think, somebody's recommended them to me before. Welcome to everybody, by the way. If you're just now joining, I'm fighting some allergies, so I'm trying not to sniffle too annoyingly. But yeah, I got some tissues, some water, and I'm trying to not be too annoying about it. All right, next up, I picked up, and this is what I use for my thumbnail for this video. Which I don't know if a live is live. I think you just see a preview of the footage. I don't think you saw the thumbnail, but the people that watch the replay will see it. Anyhow, I picked this up to add to my ever-growing Star Trek music collection. This is the soundtrack CD of Nemesis, which is one of the 4 Star Trek Next Generation movies. And here's the inside. They never quite show the bad guy's face unless you watch the movie. And I always thought until I saw the movie that it was Patrick Stewart. Like if you look at it, he's like in shadow. I thought it was like an evil Patrick Stewart, which is not the case. A little bit of a spoiler there. I paid for the used CD. I paid a lot of money for this. This was $8, which again, their prices weren't the best, but they had a great selection. They had so much soundtracks. All I looked at was soundtracks and country. And I looked at Disney because they had a new Disney section. So yeah, this will be cool. Jerry Goldsmith. I love, like, in contrast to that Patsy Klein disc, look at how much pride is taken in making the media just look cool. And this is part of the fun, right? Is, the physical element. Look at that. How there's I loved it when CDs went to this clear jewel case design and they put pictures back there. This will no doubt have a pretty good sized booklet. Yes, this is part of the fun of physical media, is having the little booklet there. Something to read while you're listening to the music, some artwork. I only have one Star Trek Next Generation. Okay, spoiler alert, here's what that guy actually looks like. He's the bad guy. Hollywood Studio Symphony. And look at that multicolored vest there. The only one of these 4 movies that I don't have the soundtrack to now is Insurrection. So once I have Insurrection, I'll have them all. I got the complete series on DVD for Christmas. I've got the complete series movies of Next Generation on Blu-ray. I've got the original series on Blu-ray, and I have all the original series movies on DVD. So I've got quite a good collection. I have not really ventured into any physical media of Voyager or Deep Space Nine or anything later than that. And then I only got one other CD. Again, my vinyl storage at the moment is limited. So I'm trying to kind of back down off of bulking up on stuff. I don't want to just like bulk up on records because I've run out of storage. All of my crates and overflow crates, and that's how I store things, are full. All of the totes and spaces for 45s, like 95% full. 78 RPM storage, about 90% full. And then I'm like 150% full on box sets and things like that. So CDs, however, there's some shelf space. I don't want to go stupid with it, but yeah. Second Chance says, correction, the temperature here is not that cold, 23 degrees. Oh, it's a summer day. That's nice. Okay, and then the final thing I got was from Rock and Roll Heaven. I got a rock and roll album. Just kidding. I got Cinderella, and this is the Disney Collector's Edition. Now, I was looking at this earlier. This is 2012 edition, so it's not the original 90s issue. This also is the European Union edition. This is not the North American release. And what's interesting about it, because it is a collector's edition, it has an extra program on there. So you got the original soundtrack program, 10 tracks, and then another 10 or so tracks of Disney The Lost Chords Cinderella. And it's got demos and some songs that I don't know the title of. So I don't know what that is. Is that like because there was like Cinderella 2 and 3. I remember our kids had that on VHS, and somewhere I may have it too. But Cinderella is one of my favorite Disney movies. I remember being homesick, and my mother brought me a VHS tape, which I still have, of the movie. And I always thought Gus was when he's carrying the corn at the beginning in the farmyard, I thought he was carrying little slices of cheese because that's what it looked like. So I was a little bummed when I realized it wasn't slices of cheese. But I love the music to these things. So I picked this up brand new, $11.98 at Rock and Roll Haven or Heaven. So I thought we would open it together. When's the last time you opened a brand new CD? And check this out. It's got this little sliver thing. Remember there was like this little thing, a little pull tab to help, start the unwrapping. So we're going to unwrap this together in real time. How exciting is that? Just ruin the hype sticker. The hype sticker is a thing of history now. So, yeah. There was a time when I thought I would never buy another CD. And then eventually I realized that I love the format. So why stop? You know what I mean? Why stop? And yes, I use streaming all the time. I've been listening to a lot, of MP3s lately. In fact, we're doing a show in the imminent future about a very cool MP3 player. If you like MP3 players, you're going to want to watch this. Look at this artwork. This is so cool. Nobody does the art better than Disney and takes advantage of any medium. Even this is not a visual medium per se, but they make it a visual medium where there's things to look at. There's art to consume. The disc, thankfully, had not fallen off the sprocket. It was tightly on there. Sort of a classic design. Walt Disney Records. And then the book will be hefty. Yeah, what got me thinking about this actually today, because that's what I was looking for. When I went in there, I really wanted to find used Disney either attraction, which are harder to find, or more likely movie soundtracks. And what kind of got me thinking about it is this recent acquisition here. I still have the sticker on it. This is a good price, $4. This is The Lion King. Again, this is 2012. No, this is 2003. And this is the special edition soundtrack. So this is a new and improved soundtrack version. And good Lord, it sounds good. Especially, I just can't wait to be king, sung by Jason Weaver, who was a singing voice for Simba. Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement was the speaking voice. So here's the booklet, and it's a hefty booklet too. The lyrics to everything, classic art. I think this movie was 1953. Let me turn around this way so you get the sun kind of lights it up better. I think it was 1953. But yeah, really good emotional connection to this film. Oh, that's a cool one. The Lost Chords. What is that? I don't know what that is. If you guys know what that means, let me know in the comments below. 1948. It's not like new. These are old. Was it like a short film before the feature? The artwork looks similar, but also dissimilar. Yeah, like storyboard art. This you can't get with MP3s. And it's totally lost in that. The convenience factor of digital audio and streaming and MP3s is what it is, and it is cool. But at the same time, when portability isn't the primary concern, having physical media is just so fun. It's just so fun to own a copy. And you know how it is, like I said, for a long time with streaming, obviously, but even MP3s that you buy, you're not really purchasing anything. You don't own anything other than a license to listen to that song. You don't even own the file, even though they give it to you. It's kind of like a credit card where it says this credit card is still property of XYZ Bank, but they never come calling for it, kind of a deal. Same thing with an MP3. The file isn't even yours. You just have a license to listen to it. Whereas this, I own this. This asset, this physical asset that happens to play music is one that is owned and can't be revoked. I don't know. I just think that's cool. Aside from the fact that you get all the artwork and stuff like that. Jaden Good, welcome in. I like having both digital and physical media, says Second Chance. Yeah, I do too. And I haven't really ripped any of my records yet, but I do have some that you can't get on streaming or anywhere else. So that may come a time when I would want to do that. I've done it here and there. I'm just not a huge ripping your vinyl kind of a guy. Behind on comments, guys, I'm sorry. I've been listening to it. Okay, we talked about that. If Deep Space Nine ever goes Blu-ray, it'll be my next big physical media purchase. Oh, it's not available yet on Blu-ray? I'm surprised. Yeah, I went Blu-ray, or I went DVD for the Next Generation series, just because it was more affordable. I mean, it was like $30-$40 cheaper. But I do have the Blu-ray of the original series and the movies of Next Generation. Yeah, it's all fun stuff. I have two of these. I don't know why I'm saying these because you can't see it, but the two older Samsung Blu-ray players that were not first gen, but they were some of the first models of Blu-ray players that came up. They upscale fantastically, so even a DVD looks great. So I'm not that concerned. Plus, Star Trek Next Generation was interesting, and I'm sure it was similar for Deep Space Nine and Voyager, but maybe not Voyager. Well, I don't know, because in the case of Next Generation, they filmed it on 35 millimeter film, but then they transferred it to, I think, U-matic 3/4 inch videotape, which is standard definition. But because of the broadcast quality nature of the format, it was still better than any consumer format, like a VHS release or a broadcast. It still looks beautiful. But the thing about it is the actual end product of those Next Generation episodes were standard definition, videotape edited products. So they're not natively high def, which is the Blu-ray, standard, obviously. I've still haven't even dipped my toe into the 4K world of. I have a 4K TV. Our big TV is a 4K TV, but I don't have like a ultra high def source other than 4K streaming. That's the only 4K. I don't have any media of that type. I probably never will. I don't think I'll ever get into that. But so it's interesting. Even a Blu-ray of Next Generation has to be upscaled at some point in the process. Now you can get back to work and afford stuff. Now I can get back. Now I can get back to work and afford stuff. I have a meeting to get to. That's good. Dave, welcome in. I listen to CDs probably 75% of the time over vinyl. Haven't went into streaming. And I'll say this, Dave. I respect that. Streaming has become very good because it is now the highest quality digital that most people can get their hands on. Sorry for the sniffles, fighting allergies. In the case of Apple Music, which is the one that I use, Dolby Digital, Dolby Lossless. I mean, you can get true high res. There used to be a couple of like expensive streaming services for the high res audio, but now Apple does all that for the same price as whatever. I think it's better than Spotify myself because you've got Dolby, you've got lossless, you've got Atmos. So if you've got good headphones, you can get a full Dolby Atmos surround, and they've reprocessed albums to work. And really take advantage of that Atmos technology. And what's interesting too is there's exclusives, like there's Apple Music exclusives. Apple Apple Records, aka the Beatles, have an exclusive album only available on Apple Music. It's not available on any physical media or anywhere else. And it's the rooftop concert, the famous 1969 rooftop concert. 68 or 69, January 69, right? And it's phenomenal. It's also in Dolby Atmos, I believe. I would say go for it. It's good to have. I use streaming a lot. I do. When do I use it? In the car. It's more convenient than physical media in the car. Like if you're at an appointment, if you are traveling, I used to lug around tapes and CDs even fairly recently. But it's more of a hassle than it's worth, and it's put your physical media at risk. So for traveling, especially air travel and things, it's great because you've got so much at your fingertips. I would recommend it. It does not diminish my enjoyment of vinyl at all. It kind of plays on itself because sometimes I'll find something, I'll discover music through streaming that I will then go try to pursue in a physical form and vice versa. Old Radio says, to stay on track, I took off all my eBay saved searches, only left one so I can focus on getting that item and not getting distracted. Sounds like a good idea. More picky with CDs. Jaden says, I got a bunch of really good cassettes and CDs on Friday. I was pretty happy about it. That's cool. What'd you get? It's got to be stuff I really... I agree, Old Radios, because you sound like me, like you'll just kind of go off on tangents, and before long, you've got things that you probably don't need, and Try to stay focused on the next thing. Mid rolls, I'm sorry guys, YouTube. And there, I set it to minimum, but there will be those. Thank you for suffering through them for the greater good. We've got them at Value Village. Do we have those here in Florida? I don't even know. Going to be a new Goodwill. That's great. There's no Goodwills that are super close to me, unfortunately. Do you have Megadeth on anything? I haven't. I don't have any Megadeth. I am not a metal fan. I am not a hard rock fan. Some people say that's not metal, that's hard rock, whatever. I don't have that. I did go through a phase, and again, personal journey. Everybody's journey is different. I did go through a phase where I had CDs of Megadeth. I personally chose to not listen to that type of music anymore because I personally felt that it was contributing to anxiety and negativity that I didn't want to surround myself with. So I wanted to, I literally dropped off all of my music of that regard, and not just metal, as with just music that had themes that I thought weren't akin to my own value system and interests. So I sold, or actually, I think did I donate? I don't know. They went to a music store, and I ended up getting into big band music, not because I just thought it was the greatest music ever at first, but just because to me that was the most positive, upbeat, uplifting music that I wanted to listen to. And so I really dove in and really learned to enjoy it. And still to this day, it's a positive association. Fast forward 25, 30 years, I now find myself enjoying all genres of music. Megadeth, I'm not going to put Megadeth on. That's just me personally. So yes, I did, but I do not anymore. U-matic is limited. Oh yeah, but man, that was a versatile format. I remember I worked when I was in broadcast. We were shooting on U-matic, and it was if you know Comcast, it was a Comcast predecessor affiliate, and we were shooting sports for back then Prime Sports, which I think became Fox Sports. We were shooting CNBC panel interviews, political things. We were shooting rodeos, baseball games, football games, volleyball matches, professional racing, all kinds of drag racing, NHRA drag racing. And we were shooting all of that stuff on 3/4 inch. And you say, well, that dates you. Yes, to a degree. But when I tell you this was in the era when Beta SP reigned supreme, it may shock you. But yeah, mid to late 90s, still shooting 3/4 inch. I remember one of my first things when I was in film school, and that's how I got my first gigs, were through teacher connections and things, at film, television. And this teacher I had was shooting a festival in the Denver metro area, and said I could come along. My very first that wasn't semi, it was professional. Although I didn't get paid, I was volunteering. Volunteered for the first 6 months, and then one day I went and asked for money, and they gave me money, which was a surprise. We should always work like that. All you have to do is ask. But what happened was she was shooting the camera, and there was one of those 50-pin camera cables about a meter long, and I was the camera deck operator, so I had a 3/4 inch U-matic portable deck around my neck, and I'm running audio and setting levels and running tape. And if you didn't pay attention very carefully, I'd be going one way, she'd be going the other. It happened a couple of times where she decided to walk off, and I was looking down, and she'd yank. She's like, "What are you doing? Pay attention." But it was fun. 3/4 inch, heck yeah. 35 millimeter is HD. Well, and you can upscale. Well, and so what I was saying is, old radios is they shot it in 35, but they edited it on U-matic. So as soon as they dumped it into U-matic, it went to standard def, and then therefore all the masters are standard def masters, even if they're being upscaled. But yeah, film is it gets converted. It depends on how it's scanned. It can be even, like you said, Super 8 can be it could be HD or 4K or whatever it's scanned at. It's just an image. Your TV situation says second chance, similar to mine, except I have a UHD Blu-ray player, but my TV is 720p. That's funny. 720p is still a great format. Although I've noticed, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I've had one of the limitations, but behind the scenes moment, coming to you from Record-ology live shows only, is I edit Record-ology on my iPhone. And I shoot on a camera or the phone, and that footage is then imported to the camera, edited, and I use iMovie. And iMovie can outport resolutions of anywhere from like 2 something all the way up to 4K. And it upscales excellently. It does a great job handling footage. It sort of natively lives in the 4K realm. But what happens is 4K footage, especially, and even 1080p footage, which is full high def back when that was the thing, is very space consuming. And I only have a 128 gig phone, which I can't believe 128 is 128 gigs. I guess it would be. I never thought that anything in the gig realm would be small, but you start talking 4K footage, and pretty soon you've eaten that up. So I acquire everything in 1080p now. But if I have a super long show, like the other day I had a 30-minute long show when it was edited, and I had to render it at 720, which is high def. It's a lower high def. Now YouTube doesn't even recognize that as HD. It recognizes it as standard definition. Like, come on. 720 is definitely high def. I remember in the early 2000s, I was working at another broadcast network, and I got my hands on my very first high definition camera, and it was a prosumer camcorder, 720p. It was a Panasonic. I felt like I was holding a Rolls Royce. It was so luxurious. So the concept of, oh yeah, I just grab my phone and shoot a 4K video now is still weird to me. Definitely technology and availability have kind of done this. It used to be that it was exclusive if you could get a hold of high quality broadcast equipment, and exclusive if you could find a place to edit, or place to edit and a place to broadcast. Some of the productions that my wife and I produced back in the day, we were buying airtime and selling advertisers, a very old school way of distribution. Whereas now, it's a lot easier to get an audience. Time consuming, but anybody can do it. So people, and it's kind of cool because now it's not just limited to people that have access to that stuff. And everybody's got the technical. It's a matter of whether or not you have the storytelling capability and the creativity and all that stuff. Old Radio said, I'll stick to my scratchy originals when it comes to Beatles. Old Radio says, I got one Megadeth on CD. Tim Allen in the house. Sorry for the delay there. I've been behind on comments. Welcome in, Tim. Appreciate it. I picked up nearly 50 laser discs at my magical, nobody else has heard of these types of thrift stores before, for 99 cents each. And you meant to do it. That's what's important. You didn't get a laser disc because you thought it was a record, as I've done in the past, being terrible about checking the disc before I actually buy it. That's cool. What a great deal. Another format I am not going to get into. I don't need to go down that route. I never had them. In film school, we had a couple here and there. I own one laser disc. It's up on the wall. It's Grumpier Old Men, one of my favorite movies. And I bought it for nostalgic reasons, and I like the cover art. One of my absolute all-time feel-good favorites. I can watch it indefinitely. And I remember when it came out on video, I could barely afford the videotape. And I saw that there was a laser disc, and it was like probably $40 back at Media Play in Denver back in the 90s. And I thought to myself, how fancy and luxurious that was. So when I came across this by accident in a record store or a thrift store, it was an antique store actually, in a record section, I'm like, yes, I'm going to buy this for like $1.50, and having no way to play it. In fact, I think it's scratched up, but I have it just for looks. So there you go. Do you have a Laserdisc player or Betamax player? I do not. I've got a ton of beta tapes, everything from the small mouth 5, 10, 30-minute tapes to the large mouth 30, 60, and 90-minute tapes. Again, a lot of reels, demos, and shows produced back in broadcast, and mini disc tapes or mini DV tapes, but no way to play them. I've kind of had every once in a while you'll see one of those Sony UVW Betamax or Beta SP tapes. I have no interest in Betamax or Beta. Beta SP, I would want to get into it just to transfer them because the machines are huge and bulky and cumbersome and high maintenance. Although they're so, it's like working on an old pickup truck. Like you can pretty much stand inside of it. It's so huge. But we used to fix those things up, take them apart. We got to know them very well working in broadcast. Because eventually I did work for a network that was in the SP realm when they should have been. Actually, by then, a lot of people were shooting that Betacam SX, which was one of the first digital Betacam models. But no, never Blu-ray, or excuse me, never Laserdisc, and never Betamax. And I don't need one of those top loaders, either VHS or Betamax. As cool as they may be, I just don't need that. I know people that do, though. Ivy Poison, welcome in. I usually go through phases of listening to one group or an artist. Personally, my latest one was Nirvana, which is definitely more than likely my favorite band of all time. Very cool. I remember in junior high, there was this kid there that was such a big Nirvana fan. He told me, and this is back before listening to music was really a part of my life, per se, where I would do it a lot. I remember he told me that he listened to Nirvana every morning before he came into school, and I thought that was weird. Old Radios has both. I would expect you to. You're one of the people I know that would have both. Old Radios, Tim says, mostly 80s movies, a bunch of classics, couldn't pass them up. That's cool, Tim. The only U-matic machine I have was their very first, and it needs work. U-matic SP looks really good. When I think of the classic U-matic look, I think of like late 70s era Tonight Show. And they would shoot with old tube cameras where if they would hit a hot spot, like a studio light, it would trail. It would actually burn into the image sensor. And those tube cameras had a nice color palette, a nice smooth look to them. So they kind of pair nicely with U-matic. I made the acquaintance of one of the camera operators on Home Improvement a few years ago, and I need to reach out to him again. He also worked on Last Man Standing. And the guy was an absolute font of information about behind the scenes stuff on Home Improvement. And I geeked out so hard for about 3 weeks. I was writing him these emails asking everything. And like, what format did you guys shoot on? What camera did you guys use? It was fun. By the way, I think they were Ikegami and Canon cameras, and he thinks it was Beta SP, but he doesn't remember exactly. Obviously, it was a live switched situation, so it was live to tape, similar to what we did when I worked in broadcast. So all the cameras on the studio floor or in the field didn't have tape decks. They were routed via camera cables back to a truck or to a production room in the case of Home Improvement. Sorry for the sniffles, guys. Still fighting the allergies. And taped back there. Probably new belts. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it, man. Hey, Greg, welcome in. So glad you're here. Thank you so much. We're doing great, Greg. We're having a great time. Hope you've been having fun, enjoying January, all that good stuff. Old Radio says, I got my first HD camera in 2008. Yeah, this was like, gosh, when did I work there? This particular TV network, I worked from, I want to say, it was early 90s. It was not early 90s. It was early 2000s. So this camera probably came into my hands in 2003 or 4, and I didn't own it. It was like too expensive for me to own. My first HD camera that I owned, I can tell you which one it was too. I still have it somewhere. Do I have it up here? I don't think I have it here. But it was a Sony Bloggy, and it was basically Sony's competitor to the what are those things called? Those little handheld cameras for bloggers. They got bought by Cisco. Flip camera, thank you. It was like the Sony flip camera. It was 1080p, and it was tiny. It was fun. It was cool. Still shoots good video. Had like a 4 gig internal memory. Had a USB, like a jackknife USB on the side where you just plug the whole camera in. It's a cool little thing. Cool little. That was my first HD, but it was a full automatic. It wasn't like you could film anything. In fact, I shot films and projects after that on standard def because professional, cameras with lenses and, things that you could, put on a dolly or a jib were more attainable in the standard definition space for a long time after high definition and 4K came, or not 4K, but high definition came out. And then eventually back into the HD world was through SLRs, because SLRs were sort of the secret weapon for filmmakers wanting to get into on a budget. And again, what you had personally versus what you used at the network, two different things, because network had $100,000 cameras. You're not going to buy that. I remember going to Infocom and trade shows as far back as the late 90s and seeing what we would call real estate cameras, $150,000 high definition cameras and things like that. So personally, SLRs were a great way to get into, and still are a good way to get into shooting video. The limitation there was that you usually had a lens that was designed for still work. So no live tracking, zoom or anything like that. Automatic zooms were set to specific focal points, and then you'd have to recalibrate every time. So especially if you're filming with prime lenses and you didn't have the ability to, make quick adjustments. I don't know why we're talking about cameras so much, but it's one of my nerdy hobbies. And eventually the camera companies got wise to that and started coming out with cinema lenses, which were so expensive that would allow you to, and even cinema cameras that were SLRs, but purpose built for filmmakers that, again, were so expensive. I think a Canon C100 or something like that. Beautiful camera, never had one of those. And then now things are that like entry level vlogger, blogger, YouTuber, 4K high def camera of choice is the mirrorless camera. So it just kind of continually evolves. That's cool. I'd love to see it. That's really, really cool. When I wake up, I listen to music when I get dressed and ready for the workday. That's awesome. Old Radio says a 1975 2 camera Sony turns on, useless, it's connected to its CCU. No CCU, no power. Yep, exactly. Those were power and connectivity. Jeremy, welcome in. Thank you for moderating, Jeremy. 12th Moon, HL lift gone till February. How much was that Pooh and Tigger read-along record when you bought it? Wow, that's a random question. Let me see if I happen to have my kids' 45s right down here. I don't know. It's nowhere behind me. No. Probably $1.50, no more than $2-3 probably. I love that stuff. Old Radios is saving for a Canon 1014 XLS. Okay, I'm going to look it up. Canon 1014 XLS. Nice. I've never seen this. It's cool. It looks retro. Oh, I see. Because it's kind of modeled after a Canon 10. Well, Canon 1014 kind of looks like. Wait, what am I looking at? Yeah, Canon 1014. That's cool. That's really, really cool. Remember the XL1? I had an XL1S, which was the upgraded XL1. Never had the high def version of that. The XL1 was great. It had XLR inputs. It was mini DV, but it shot 24p, which was the gold standard for, filmmakers that wanted to have that ability. And we were blessed because we had, for a lot of our projects, we had access to either film cameras or broadcast equipment. But there was a couple projects we did with the prosumer stuff, and shooting 24p on mini DV and standard def would render a surprisingly cinematic look. Also, I found years later, it was already obsolete, the original the Canon L1. The Canon L1. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the camera that Bill Paxton has at the beginning of Titanic when he's looking out the portholes of the sub. The Canon L1. It was a high 8 camera. The predecessor of the XL1S. I had one of those for a weekend. I got to borrow it. I had a friend back then that was one of the first eBay flippers. He would garage sale, and then he would sell the stuff on eBay for profit. So he'd bring stuff in, and I got to check it out. Greg, I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you for being here. What Willie thinks. Welcome in. I love the emoji there. That's cool. So your eBay search is only that. I use when I go to eBay, I look at my recent searches and just add it as needed, change it as needed. Old Radio says my Super 8 footage got goofed by my guy, but I got a refund. Oh, for getting it developed. That's good. Yeah, just, I don't have any desire to shoot film anymore, either still or motion. Which sounds better, console or component sound systems? Wow, John, that's a good question. It depends. There's so many variables because a component system by nature, sorry for the sniffles, the tissue, the allergies. The component system is so customizable by nature that you could put any speakers, you could put any amplifier. I would say that by nature, a component system would tend to sound better because you have the option of anything, whereas a console would be an all-in-one unit. I love that I think both my grandparents had one, but specifically I remember one, my mom's side of the family. Grandparents had one of those consoles, those Admiral consoles. Great warm tonality. Hey, Greg, we're doing good. Mrs. Record-ology is doing good as well. By the way, if you haven't yet checked out her new single, Moonshine Lullaby, if you go over to her channel, which is Rain's Place at RAINSPLACE.com, subscribe. You will see not only our couples vlog content there and a bunch of cool stuff that she produces, wild animal stuff and travel stuff and just whatever. Very, very fun. But she also has a link to her artist profile, which is Always Rain. And through there, you can listen to the new song. It's also available on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever music is available. I appreciate your support there. And it's a great, great song. So if you want to keep track of the latest and greatest from Mrs. Record-ology, a.k.a. Rain, Rain's Place, etc., that is how to do it. Looking for a consolette. I saw some of those, John, at this record shop I went to in Tampa last weekend. I did a video about it. In fact, I showed it in the video. Check that out. You'll get to see it. So my good friend Jeremy has put the link to our adapter, our new exclusive. Thank you, Jeremy. Red rainbow colored adapter. This is our latest 3D printed 45 adapter. And we ship worldwide. I made that change. Initially, it was only in the US. And people were like, when will it be available in the UK? When will it be available overseas? And it is now available anywhere because shipping is calculated based on where you live. And that makes the process on my end a lot easier. And I'm able to offer that. Dang, this little thread will not come off. Every one of these comes out rough, not physically rough, but like objectively rough and has to be finished. So it's sanded, it's tweaked, it's perfected before it's sent out. So yeah, just to recap, we did this earlier in the video. We've got the rainbow red on sale now. The signature Record-ology orange, always on sale. No longer available, but always fun to look back into the Hall of Fame here. We've got the Christmas exclusive Starry Night, aka Asphalt. We've got the glow in the dark, which was a very hard to work with rigid PLA. We have what was supposed to be a Christmas from a couple years ago, red and green, that turned out more guava themed. So we called it the guava. And we've got the original metallic. I'm missing one here. I don't have the blue. There was also a metallic blue. I need to put that in the Hall of Fame. But here we go. Metallic purple. This is probably one of my favorites. I love that kind of reflective look to it. So yeah, 45 adapters are on sale. Link in the description of the video. Also in the chat if you're watching live. Your support goes to help support the channel. It's very much appreciated. Thank you, Jeremy, for moderating again. Very much appreciated. So what else are you guys up to? So I got these 3 CDs, Cinderella. What did I do with it? Oh yeah. Star Trek Nemesis. Man, that looks cool. And this Patsy Klein collection, which is a weird collab between Madison, the Bargain Basement, Cheap Company, and Sony. I don't know how that happened. Picked up all this. Price-wise, again, Rock and Roll Records was a little higher, but their selection was so good, it was worth it. So I think I spent $23, $24. Let's see. Let me do a little bit of math here. So I paid like $12 for this. It was new. We just opened it a little while ago. Star Trek Nemesis used, I paid $8, which is, this is a title I really wanted. So on an average CD that was meh, I wouldn't have gone. I mean, it should be a 3 or 4 if it's used, but because it's a title I was looking for. So this is 12 plus 8. So we now have 20, and this must have been like $2 because I think I paid 22, 23. That was worth it. I will listen to that stuff. I don't want to buy anything that I'm not going to listen to. I don't want to hoard all that stuff. Yes, Jeremy, thank you. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. But what are you guys up to? What is going on in your world? Michael, hello from the UK. Gary, also in the UK, welcome in. Appreciate you guys being there. So, yeah, it's good to have you here. Gary, you asked, what is a console? It's like one of those like furniture pieces with a lift-up shelf, and inside was a record player, maybe a tape player and a radio, built-in speakers. Some of them had televisions in them. They were the thing to have. That was the home stereo system in America for a long time. Most people know somebody that had them or had them themselves. Jonathan says, ugh, grading work, end of semester. Thank you for teaching the next generation, Jonathan. Much appreciated. Thank you for making time to be here. Everybody, thank you for making time to be here. And listen to me sniffle as I try to fight allergies that my body is not ever had to fight before, because we moved here to Florida within the last year, which, by the way, so far is super, super, very much a good choice. I'm very thankful for that choice. Gary says we had radiograms. Interesting. I'm going to look that up. Radiograms. Yeah, same thing. Exact same thing. Interesting terminology difference. But yeah, that's the exact same thing. Yep. Nowadays, you can buy these used, obviously. There are a couple of companies. I think Victrola may make a similar, smaller one. But you can buy these, especially like the 70s era ones, for $100 in perfect working order. Mostly people just want them out of their house, and they'll pay you almost to get them out because they're huge, they're heavy. I do own a console. You may not know this. It's so funny. It's probably one of the most historic things that I own, and it was one of my first record players that I've ever owned. I have never featured it on this channel. I've never really even talked about it on this channel. You may be saying, why would you not do that? It's Record-ology. You're supposed to have, you're supposed to feature all this stuff. Well, it's at my parents' house back in Denver, and it's in the basement. Currently, it's holding up a projector in my dad's home theater. So it's serving its duty there, which is okay by me, because if it's not holding up a projector, it has to come with me, and I don't have a place for it right now. And I chose not to move it all the way to Florida. So my dad will probably be like, guess what? It's gone. We gave it away. Finally, you had your chance, kind of a thing. But as of this moment, I own a 1951 Philco console. And it's not one of the flat ones with a lid that lifts up. It's one of the more stout, narrower ones with a kind of cabinet doors that open. And on one side is vertical space for records, I think. And on the other side, on one side is a record player. So it's got like a changer, an old, I assume it's a Philco changer. I don't know if Philco made changers, but it's a cast iron, blue metallic thing. It hasn't had a working needle in decades. And yeah, and it needs some work, and I've never put any work into it. You would think that I, of all people, I've fixed up all kinds of stuff. I've repaired all kinds of things. I've featured all kinds of things. I just haven't put this on anywhere yet. And then it's got a radio, obviously a tube radio with a beautiful backlit glass display. And the furniture itself is like a cherry wood finish, beautiful condition. It's been perfectly clean for decades. It's not like, cobwebby or anything. It's immaculate. But the thing about it is it's just a beast, and I don't have room for it, and I haven't worked on it. So I've owned that for many years now. It was the same grandma and grandpa that had the big Admiral console I was telling you about, and it was their wedding gift in the early 50s, and it ended up in my possession. I also inherited a couple of televisions, a black and white and a color television from the early 60s, and they worked. At least one of them did. The color one worked, and it had the very rounded tube, beautiful, like a blonde furniture finish to it, which had been oiled. And this side of the family was famous for their museum quality cleaning, and so everything inherited was just immaculate. And this wood had been oiled and polished for ever since day one, and still looked showroom quality. But this was back when I was like 16 years old, and I didn't have anywhere for that. And it was even before I got into that retro stuff. And still, I don't. Even if I would have held on to it, I still wouldn't have room for it. So that went to a new owner right away. But I did keep the console. And last time I talked to my parents, they still had it. I should at least show it. I think I've talked about showing it. I don't know if I've ever actually showed it. I don't think I've ever even showed it. Super Z-Dog, welcome in. Just tuning in. My brother got me Rick Astley's Whenever You Need Somebody. Never Gonna Give You Up. Never Gonna Let You Down. New on vinyl. That's awesome. Or on vinyl. I don't know if it's new for Christmas. That's so cool. Gary Whitaker in the house. I had a Zenith Allegro console. I'm going to look that one up. I love the names of stuff back then, too. Allegro by Zenith. Oh, okay. Yeah, very cool. I love when you guys tell me something like a product and I look it up and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Jeremy, moderating like crazy, has even put up our Instagram page. If you want to see our Instagram stuff, go check that out. Although it's somewhat replicated version of our community tab. I post more to the community tab. My thought process was that, and he put the TikTok up as well. TikTok has unique content. We put stuff on TikTok that never can see the light of day on YouTube, mostly for copyright reasons. We do unique stuff over there. Also, sometimes we'll put longer versions of our shorts over on TikTok because the time restriction is 1 minute on YouTube, where we have up to 9, I think, on TikTok. Although I promise I'll never put a 9-minute TikTok together. But Instagram, the idea with Instagram and TikTok originally was to use it as an outreach to bring people into the channel. What I've learned since then from not only my experiences, but other creators as well, is that usually doesn't happen. Usually people that are TikTok people stay in TikTok and don't do YouTube, and vice versa. You made it before the stream ended. Yes, the Family Dad. We've been on for about 57 minutes. So you're at the end of it. You're at the other end, but you are on before. Hey, if this gets fun enough, maybe we'll go another hour. No, we're probably not going to go another hour, but I'm glad you were here for sure. Jonathan, yeah, well, maybe I'll bring it out and not bring it out. Maybe I'll next time I'm over there, I'll check it out, film it, at least show it. I've been listening. Michael says I've been listening to Swinging Doors by Diana Dors and the Wally Scott Orchestra. I've never heard of them. Released early 60s on red vinyl. Excellent swing album. I'll have to check that out. I love swing music. But yeah, TikTok is an interesting thing. You put up a video, and I've tried lives on TikTok as well, and it's weird. Like you get one person, then they'll leave. Another person, then leave. You get 3 people, then 1 person, then 5, then 10, then 0. And it's people just swiping. You know what I mean? They're just swiping through. And it's not like this. This is supposed to be like, hey, let's hang out. Come over to my place. We'll sit down. We'll talk. We'll chat. Want to hear what you've been up to. I'll tell you what I've been up to. Maybe show a couple of things. Not like full stimulus mode where we're like, hey, look at this. Now look at that. Now look at this. Now look at that. It's a different world. It's a different world. Marek Tomas, I hope I'm saying that right. Greetings. Hope you enjoyed Bing. Absolutely. Did you send a Bing? Oh, did you send the 8-track? Wonderful, wonderful gift. Yes, absolutely enjoyed. Continue to enjoy and love this very much. If that's what you're referring to, absolutely. Greg, glad you're there. Let's look at some records. Why don't we look at some records? 45s are easy to show and they're handy. Should I go for those? Okay, I want you guys to vote. So I want you guys to vote in the comment section as I wipe my nose for the umpteenth time. I'm going to say a couple different things, and you tell me what you want. These are all going to be things within arm's reach. Do you want to look at 45s? Do you want to look at musicals? Do you want to look at country western? Do you want to look at Hawaii? Do you want to look at rock and pop? Beatles, Glenn Miller, Elvis. That's all I can reach on that side. 78s, 8 tracks, or 10-inch records. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see. We'll pick one of those and we'll just grab some and look at. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a wonderful week coming up. And I've got a very busy week ahead of me, but it's all good. Let's see, we're getting votes for 78s or 10-inch, 45. So far, 78s is winning. Let me know, guys. 15 people in the live stream right now. Let me know what you want to see. 45s, okay, 45s and 78s are neck and neck. Or random crap from my desk, whatever. Mostly just want to hear from you guys, what you're up to. RCA, rock. If you haven't voted, now's your time. Superdog. I was in Lahaina, Maui, 3 weeks before it all burnt down. Lahaina burned down? When did it burn down? What? Why did I not know about this? Oh, was this like a couple of years ago? Yeah. Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I remember this. Oh, that's awful. Yeah, my mind had erased it. Yeah. Oh man, that's terrible. I'm glad you got to see it beforehand. I haven't been to Maui since like 1985, which is my first trip to Hawaii. We did all the islands. My grandpa took the entire extended family on a 2-week trip, and we went to all the islands. Oh, that's terrible. Yeah. All right. It looks like 45s win. So we're going 45s. I'm going to grab pop, vocal, and old rock. And I don't have a huge 45 collection. I've got like 2 boxes full, and that's about it. I don't like 45s as much as I like other formats. And you may be like, what? But yeah, 45, we're going to go through this many. For those of you wanting the show to end quickly, I apologize. Let's see. So that's that. Orchestra. I guess I could just put them back here. What are we doing first? Pop vocals. We'll go through them rather quickly. Move this out of the way. How about we move that out of the way, put the mic there, and then that gives me some room to hold on one second, guys. The boss is about to give me some instructions. Okay, this will be fun. So I'm going to try a weird snack. I've been trying to eat low carb, no carb for the past couple of months with limited success. And so I'm looking for snacks and interesting things. And we went to this place that had like low carb snacks. And I think this came from there. Did this come from there? Keto friendly, vegan, gluten free. Huh? Yeah, okay. So this came from there. They're supposed to be gummy worms. I love candy. I love gummy worms. Which if you're low carb, no carb, isn't a good combination. So let's try it out. Let's see how good they are. It's a short worm. Are they all this short? It's weird. Oh. Wow. Has a little sugar, 70 calories still. Wow, per bag though. Really? Only 3 grams of sugar and 70 calories. That's a healthy amount. Holy cow, it still has 37 grams of carbs. I don't know if that's really keto friendly then. They're good. They're too good to be that good for you. Let me just say that. Okay, record time. Although that was a fun aside. Let's see here. Just looking through some records I have. The reason why I don't like 7-inch records as much is they just don't sound as good to me. A lot more inner groove distortion and noise. Oftentimes the vinyl, if they're vinyl 45s or 7-inch records, is a more crispy, rigid vinyl. If they're styrene 45s, then we know they don't sound as good. This is a Reprise. This is not a 45. Well, it's a 33, 7-inch, 33 RPM record. Frank Sinatra's My Way, and it's an EP. Well, it wouldn't be an EP if it's a 33. Bristol Productions, Reprise Records, and Warner Bros. Made in the USA. It's got 4 songs on it total, so that's cool. Obviously, Sinatra's record label there. That is Reprise. Another Reprise recording we have here. This is, by the way, is my pop vocal, like Americana, Great American Songbook section. Another Reprise. This is an ugly color. I don't think that's like a mustard yellow color. Reprise Records, Frank Sinatra, You and Me on one side, and Theme from New York, New York. Classic on the other side. Next up, Atlantic Records, Aretha Franklin, Lean on Me. That's a classic. I mean, all this is a classic. Spanish Harlem, Aretha Franklin. Interesting damage to the hub there. Like literally drilled right through it. I don't know why that. It's a literal hole. You can literally look through that. I don't know why that would have happened. Columbia Records, Johnny Mathis. Is a song called I or One? My favorite non-Christmas Johnny Mathis song is Teacher, Teacher. Soul and Inspiration, just once in my life. That's a cool looking label, Columbia Records. Next up, we have another Reprise. This one is a different Reprise label. Pocket Full of Miracles, Frank Sinatra. And then on the flip side, we have Name It and It's Yours. Let's do the old styrene test. How to check if your record is styrene or vinyl. If it has a dull thud when you tap it, it's vinyl. If it has a ring to it, it's styrene. This is vinyl. Maybe hard to tell over the mic, but it's a dull, bassy thud. That is a vinyl record. Next up, Capitol Records. This is K-Star, K's Lament on one side, and Foolin' Around on the other side. K-Star was my gateway to Patsy Klein. K-Star I learned about through Glenn Miller because she filled in for Marion Hutton for a couple of weeks with the band. And when she was very young, she hadn't even finished high school yet. Went on to a solo career. And when I was researching her, I learned that one of her fans was Patsy Klein. So I gave Patsy Klein a listen one day. I have a vague memory of doing this. It was only a few years ago. And then the rest was history. I liked Patsy Klein even more than I liked K-Star. But that's a cool record. All right, Peggy Lee. This is an artist. Sorry for the sniffles. Peggy Lee is an artist that I didn't have really anything of and didn't really get into until I was well into my research and collecting of Patsy Klein. And Peggy Lee, much more jazz-oriented, similar to K-Star, but on a bigger level. Singer-songwriter and composer of thousands of songs. And so I started collecting a lot of her music. This is a very cool Decca. Boy, would I like to have some Patsy Klein Deccas that were on this version of the label. I don't even know if this is like earlier. This is like 55, 54. So it would have been a little before Patsy Klein's time. Forgive Me on one side and Be Anything featuring Gordon Jenkins. But check out this Matrix stamp up here. See if I can capture it. Look at this. This thing is like Braille. It's so pronounced. Let's see if I can get the light to catch that right. This Matrix stamp is like, it's sticking out. It's protruding out. It's very strange. I've never seen a record do that before. What does it say? Is it just the number? Is it the matrix number? It almost says like I. What the heck does that say? No, it's a number. Yeah, it's a number, but it protrudes, which makes me think that this is probably styrene because you don't press. Well, I guess you could press a record with that, but it looks more injection molded. And as you may know, styrene records are injection molded. It's got a flat edge. Another thing that's indicative of a styrene record. Let's give it the test. Yep, that's styrene. It's got a ring to it. Sounds almost metallic. Yeah. Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. I appreciate it. Tim has between 5 and 10,000 45s. I give up. I'm just going to quit right now. See you guys later. I can't do it. I can't compete with that. That's ridiculous. Wow. How do you have them categorized? How do you have them indexed? How do you know what the heck you have or don't have? That's insane. That's really insane. That's cool, but insane. Howdy, Patsy Klein on Coral? Talk to me. Anybody that has any Patsy Klein on Coral records or any Patsy Klein 78s, I would like to talk to you via email. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for modding. I appreciate it. Michael Brown says it's quite rare to get a 45 with a big hole in the UK. They were normally only used in jukeboxes, but not in retail 45s. That's what I've learned. Wyatt says, who's your favorite Michael Jackson? What's your favorite Michael Jackson record? Gosh, I was a mega fan of Michael Jackson as a kid. It started with the Bad album, which I literally played to death on cassette and had to buy it again. But then I was a fan through the Dangerous album, and that's kind of when my last new Michael Jackson album that I ever bought was History. I bought that on cassette because I couldn't afford the CD at the time, even though cassette was pretty outdated at that point when that came out. It's like 95. Some new material, some greatest hits. That was the last one I bought. Even though I missed it the first time around because I was too young to appreciate it, I eventually had the Thriller album as well. On vinyl, I've got the Bad Picture Disc, which is awesome. Sounds great, by the way. Sounds fantastic. I've got this still on cassette. Do I have Thriller anymore? I don't know if I have Thriller anymore. I definitely love Michael Jackson music. I've got a 45 somewhere. We might come across it. 45 single of Michael Jackson. Apparently, shellac is like bug poop, says Jonathan. So, close. Shellac is basically a combination of minerals ground up and mixed with excretions of the lac bug from India. Like, what? Why? It's so random. I know. You know what we need to do? We need to take some minerals, grind it up into a paste. And just for the heck of it, let's try lac bug excretion. Let's see what that's like. It's so random. Here's a shellac record. For a visual reference, the whole idea, as with any format, was to get the quietest, cheapest material so that in the quiet passages that the needle on the record surface wouldn't add any unwanted noise. And for years and years, that was the magical mixture. The lac bug of India excretions mixed with minerals. There's great videos on YouTube of how they were made, by the way. Very strange and brittle. You drop it, it'll shatter. So if you've ever been perplexed why some records say unbreakable, that's why. And I'm guessing combs must have been made of something similar because every black men's comb still says unbreakable. And it's like, okay, I wasn't worried that my comb would break, but thank you. The Family Dad. I found a styrene LP. Count Basie. That's cool. Yeah, I've got a couple of those as well, including Patsy Klein, a Patsy Klein record that is styrene. It's a 12-inch record. Carly Simon, More and More. Not a huge Carly Simon fan. I don't know. I probably was given this. Look at that weird raised hub. If you don't know, 45s were designed to be stacked. So the hubs are thick with the idea of when they are stacked that the playing surface is not touching or getting scratched up, but only the thick hub area. That being said, it's odd that a raised hub would extend in this. Well, it's not raised. It looks raised, but it's not. Okay, I take that all back. Still a cool record. I thought the run out was raised. I was like, how are you going to do that? Also, why do I have not my favorite record in a sleeve when I have other records I value more not? This is very, very, very cool record. This one it was my father's record. Now, my dad worked as a DJ, and the records that he gave me. So this is a Physical by Olivia Newton-John. Talk about a teleportation back in time. He would write things like little cues and notes about it. This says number 1, December 1981. Number 1, January 1982. So when he was DJing, he could, make mention of it. But I remember hearing this song growing up, and this was the actual record he used. So when he stopped doing that, he gave me a stack of 45s that he had used. Wyatt says, how does the record player work? How does the record player work? Overall, like how does the record player in general work? Or a certain one you're thinking of, Wyatt? All right, this one now gets the sleeve because I like that more. Okay, next up. This is very cool. This is an RCA Victor Compact 33, 7-inch LP, monaural on this side, and in living stereo, which is not just branding or sales talk. It is actually a technology. Living stereo is some of the most luscious, wonderful sounding stereo ever. And this has the same playlist replicated on the other side. Failed format. We've done a show about it. The Compact 33. The idea was to replace the 7-inch record or the 12-inch record with a 7-inch. We got Bette Midler on Atlantic Records. And on this side, we got the Boogly Woogly Bugle Boy. Boogie Woogie, not Boogly Woogly. I'm confusing it with the Glenn Miller song called the Boogly Woogly Piggy. This is Boogie Woogie Pig. Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. Not to be confused with Boogly Woogly Piggy. It's a good song. Okay, it's a good song. Both are good songs. Okay, this is a 70s era RCA. You can tell by the 70s logo. Edie Gourmet, Tonight I'll Say a Prayer. And on the other side, Edie Gourmet, Tonight I'll Say a Prayer. So it's a stereo on one. And wait. No, it's so it's like an EP kind of deal. So we got 3 songs on the first side and 3 songs on the other side. Here's a cool record from a physical form factor. This is The Almighty Lover, Sierra. And Sierra, The Almighty Lover on the other side. On a gorgeous red record, awesome record label. Literally, it is an awesome record label. And a beautiful red pressing there. Piggly Wiggly. Yeah, and then there's the store Piggly Wiggly. The Piggly Wiggly Bagger Boy. Aditya says, hey, what are your thoughts on GPO Style 2 record player? It'd be great to hear from you. All right, let me look it up. GPO. We've really viewed few GPO things. GPO. My keyboard's out of the way here. Stylo 2. I haven't reviewed it, so I can't tell you for sure. But I can opine on it based on what I'm seeing. Okay, so it's your basic ceramic stylus record player. Not unlike the Vibe record player that I started off with myself. It'll be a good starting point probably. It's probably not going to give you the best sound, but if it's affordable and available, it might be a good entry point for you to get started and see what you think of vinyl. All right, Johnny Mathis again. This time I've got the picture cover. Columbia Records. This is the Hall of Fame series pressings. Very thick, high-quality pressings. Yeah. This is Call Me, A Certain Smile, All the Time, and When Sunny Gets Blue. By the way, Johnny Mathis never ages. He could still sing as good as he ever could. And if you, don't believe me, look up on YouTube. He did some concerts like 2 weeks ago for Christmas. The guy still sounds great. It's amazing. He's like 83. He looks and sounds good. All right, we got another K-Star. So this is a little out of order. This is supposed to be like my rock stuff now. But so another K-Star. We got the Man Upstairs and If You Love Me. We've got Chancellor Records, Frankie Avalon with a very beat up dot picture sleeve. I'll Wait for You and What Little Girl by Frankie Avalon. We have on Chrysalis Records, Huey Lewis and the News, Power of Love for my Back to the Future fans. And Bad is Bad on the flip side. I love, my favorite 45s are probably 80s 45s. This is cool. This is an MGM disc jockey record. So this is not for resale. Norris Wilson's Love Hurts. Now, when I think of MGM records, look at this, Chantilly Lace, also by Norris Wilson. It's not the original, probably. I think when I think of MGM records, I think of Hank Williams, ironically. I don't know why, but all right, here we got some old school rock and roll. One of my favorite MCA labels. This is Bill Haley, 13 Women, and Rock Around the Clock. I almost said Rockin' Around the Clock. Rock Around the Clock, like one of the first rock and roll songs. I have a Bill Haley CD that's amazing too. Not the first rock and roll song, and arguably not the first rock and roll artist. Look up the history of the song Rockin' 88, I think it's called. Very interesting. Next, we have, I picked this up recently after Jimmy Buffett passed away because I didn't have any Jimmy Buffett records. It's on ABC Records, a very cool looking label. I paid a dollar or two, which is fine because it's a terrible condition, almost unlistenable. It doesn't look that bad visually, but this thing is beat to death. It's probably styrene. Let's give it a listen. Oh yeah, listen to this. Does that come across? This is thin. It's styrene. It's doing what styrene does, and that is when it wears, it sounds bad. So unfortunate there. Still cool to have. Another reprise record. Cruising with the Fonz. Cruising with the Fonz. On the flip side, the Happy Days theme song. That's some good music right there. A couple more to go. I told you I don't have a lot of 45s. This isn't all my 45s. This is a very thick record. Quality pressing, it seems. CCR, Fortunate Son on the Fantasy label with Down on the Corner. Also by CCR. On the flip side, love CCR. Again, my parents, this reminds me of them. Curious, is there a reason behind the orientation of the label from one side to the other? Because look, if I do that, then you can see the label is upright. But if I flip it like this, you can see it's not even reversed. It's just different. So do they pay any attention to how those labels were oriented when they pressed them? Next, we have a Decca release. This is another Bill Haley record, an older one, with a wonderfully placed sticker label. $2 I paid for this. Bill Haley's Happy Baby. That's a good song. And Dim the Lights. A lot of Bill Haley music is cool. Do you remember these? As a kid, you know what those were? You're officially old if you know what that is. And then finally, for what I grabbed to look at, we've got Bill Haley again on another Decca label, Lean Jean and Skinny Minnie in this epic sleeve. And that's it for show and tell today. I hope that was interesting. If not, I apologize. I did a ballroom dance routine to Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy a little while ago. That's cool, Super Z-Dog. That's great. You can make your records speed up. That's cool. Hey, you like Huey Lewis and the News? Huey Lewis? What? You like Huey Lewis and the News? I've got to return some videotapes. Yeah, I do. I like Huey Lewis and the News. It's blue collar rock. I like it a lot. Mostly because I associate it with Back to the Future. Jeremy, thanks again for modding. Tim Allen says Jackie Brenston and his Delta Cats rocket was actually Ike Turner's band, recorded Sun Studio. Aditya says, also I'm from India and love from India. Thank you very much, Ditya. Appreciate that. I have an old record player from HMV, which used to be a local record player company. Yep. Can you please review? Yeah, I would love to. If I get the chance at Ditya, I will. Absolutely. I had featured for years. I decided to finally part with it, which I don't know if I've officially said that on the channel yet, but you will notice the old Vita Nola phonograph is no longer featured on this channel. I did find a new owner for it before we moved here almost a year ago. Did not make the move, and I do miss it sometimes, but mostly I think it was a good decision. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to review something like that again in the future. We'll be pleased to hear your thoughts about it. It's currently not working. Then there's a lot of resources online as well. I would make sure, not that it matters, it is what it is, but there are a lot of counterfeits of the HMV style phonographs, so definitely look into that. But yeah, HMV is cool. And not only as a player, but also as a record label. Absolutely. All right, my friends. I think that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for hanging in there, listening to me sniffle. I apologize again if you're watching the replay. Thank you for watching. And try to go live. Kind of been doing it on the weekends lately. I hope you guys like it. I just love hanging out with you guys, spending some time together and shooting the breeze, hearing from you, learning from you, hopefully giving some insight on things. We got a lot of fun content coming your way, working on a very cool video and got things lined up. Also, good news is I feel like the log jam on demo products has sort of broken loose a bit because I actually have a backlog of things to review for the first time in a long time. So I'm excited about that. Stay tuned for that. We've got new record players. We've got a new cassette player hopefully coming. Maybe give We Are Rewind a bit of a run for their money, and we'll see what comes to fruition. Mostly just thank you to you for making time to be here and for watching our videos, subscribing, all that fun stuff. That's going to do it for today, guys. Happy record day. God bless you. Stay well, and we will see you next time.